Hey guys, what is going on? We're back. It's day 2 of PAX. Well, it's day 3 of PAX, was our second day. We are back to tell you what we discovered on our day 2, which was a bit more casual because I think we tuckered ourselves out on the first day. So we did a couple things, but let's why don't we maybe start with a thing that all three of us attended?
Yes.
Because today was definitely a lighter day. We didn't have nearly as many as appointments. But what we did attend, all three of us, and I don't know how you all wrote me into this, was the Magic the Gathering collaboration with Final Fantasy, which was a 2-hour panel hosted by Ben Starr and had various members of Wizards of the Coast creation team talking about how they have built this collaboration with Magic and Final Fantasy. Both of those things I know very little about, but you two definitely know a lot more about it and were excited. And they said things I didn't even think were words. I don't understand it. So I'm just going to hand the mic to the two of you and you can have a conversation. And occasionally I'll give my 2 cents. So there you go.
All righty. So basically, they crawled through the series game by game from 1 to 16, showing examples. I don't think they're an exclusive list. I'm sure there'll be more surprises of what they included in this set from each game. So one obviously started out pretty relatively small. Isn't a lot to go with. Just the basic characters, and then a few of the iconic villains, and then it goes on to more and more. 4 is the first one that had the big expansive story. 6 is my favorite game of all time. 9 was a big hit, 10 a big hit, and as they announced the games, there was different levels of cheering, and it was pretty interesting to see who everyone's favorite was.
Yeah.
And so overall, there was a lot of representation, a lot of things I forgot about. I haven't finished every Final Fantasy game, but other than the MMOs, I've played at least a little bit of every one. Well, I guess not 15 and 16. I only played like the demos for those. But so,
Tim, what do you think?
what do you think? Yeah.
Well, mainly it was I played probably one of them the most, which was 7. That was probably my introductory to Final Fantasy. Was 7 on the PlayStation, and then I dabbled in a little bit after that here and there as I got to know that series, and then of course knowing people like Jesse, uh, who know a lot about it, you kind of pick up on a lot of what's going on in those games over time. And then I got to watch Jesse play 6 and beat 6 on probably one of the extra lives or something that you did.
Yeah. I think that was like the opera house
the
scene.
opera house scene. Yeah,
that's
right.
only like 8 hours in.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
still,
You
but
didn't
that's
beat
still
it yet, but that was one
that's
I
my
watched.
favorite scene of the whole
Yeah,
game.
I got to watch that part. So it was. With all that being said, I'm probably like in between Jesse and Justin when it comes to what was going on.
Yeah.
But I am a huge fan of Magic the Gathering. I don't play as much as I used to, but it was fun to see how and hear how they built that this set that that's coming out in June. And it's definitely, even if you don't play Magic, you're probably going to want to pick up some of these cards because it's the art from a lot of the famous artists for these games is on these cards.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. Like, definitely not understanding Magic. So I've never played Magic before. I know of Magic. I know you guys played Magic when we were 2 years ago in New York for some competition. I know you kind of actively played a bit. Never having played it, right? Literally, actually, we got a starter kit. Big thanks to Wizards of the Coast. They provided everybody a starter kit. So this is my first ever Magic starter kit. So that'll be fun to jump into. But I think what I definitely admired, and again, my reference point to Final Fantasy was 7 on the PlayStation, and then I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 8 and a little bit of Final Fantasy 9 on the PlayStation, but don't have the same reverence as you do. We played a bit of 6, obviously, as well. What I still admire, however, was the artwork.
Yes,
beautiful artwork. The amount of meticulous time and they said they spent 4 years in this collaboration, meeting, like going over the lore, going over the content, meeting with like the game developers, figuring out how to best bring it all in, and that shows up here.
Yeah.
I think it shows up as such a strong collaboration. And again, I don't know all of the nuances to it, and the excitement, like the pops the crowd had. But as you are, what I was very apparent by was there is a Magic community, there is a Final Fantasy community. Those two communities meeting is awesome. I don't know either of those things, but I'm really happy that other people are super
You're over
happy.
here on the Venn diagram.
Yeah, other people were super excited and pumped by it, and you could
Mhm.
hear like people were dressed up in it, and they were talking about, oh, this thing that we're missing, or this person that we're missing that we haven't talked about. And everyone's like, Sid, right? Like
Yeah.
the entire like community sort of knew what was going
Yeah,
on, and that
Sid-
was
Sid's the
16.
running gag.
yeah,
16 versions of Sid.
15.
50.
He wasn't in the first game.
Oh, okay.
He was
Oh,
introduced
15.
in 2.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so I thought that was super
Yeah.
interesting.
And they showed all 15 cards. I
Yeah.
think they're all named the same. I think they all have the same
Sid, the
stats.
architect
So
of
you
light.
own
It's just
one.
the art was different. For
Yeah, but yeah, there's
representing each
15
game.
distinct different
Yeah.
different arts on those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and art has always been a big thing of Final Fantasy, even though most people are only see it at the pixel art level. They started off with these beautiful watercolor
Yeah.
masterpieces that got drilled down to 8-bit
Yeah.
pixels.
Yeah, and I want to a big shout out to the PR folks who reached out to us. We had nice VIP seating right near, like we were
Yeah.
3 rows from the front,
Yeah.
dead center,
Dead
right?
center,
Like I
yeah.
very much felt like it was like, would anyone else like to sit here? Would anyone else find this more valuable than me?
He felt out of place.
I
I was right at home.
Yeah, but it was great. Are you guys going to pick up these decks? Do you think?
I plan on picking up the Final Fantasy VI Commander deck. I think they said the 4 Commander decks.
4
6,
Commander decks,
7, 9, and
13? Is that right?
maybe 13.
We have to check PR beat. Don't hold us to that.
Yeah, but 6, 7, and 10 for sure.
And there's
Yeah.
collector's versions of each of those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the collector's versions. I might get one. Apparently, there's a gold Chocobo card that's only available in the English higher
Yeah.
end type
Yeah.
of booster deck. Like if I can, that'd be
A
an awesome
serialized
card
one.
to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 77 of them. Is that
Yes,
what they said?
77.
Yeah, 77 of these things. I was
Yep.
like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's based off of the Final Fantasy VII Chocobo.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'll definitely be picking up a few maybe a whole booster box, at least the Commander deck, and then maybe one of the other ones.
There was a commander deck for 6, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that 6 is the
Yeah.
lowest numbered one with a Commander deck.
Yep. In the swag bag too, you got the poster you wanted.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone got the same color poster except for me. I got a different one. They asked if I'm willing to trade. I'm like, my poster has
You're
Terra on it. No, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, you're good.
I don't know what the other posters look like.
Not Terra.
Not Terra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Terra and then there's not Terra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, if there was one character I would want, it would be Celis over
Mhm.
Terra, but still Terra's a second.
Yeah.
So,
And we haven't said it here. June 13th. June 13th is
Yes.
the release date
Mhm.
worldwide for it as well.
And a week earlier is if you do the pre-release.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm going to see if there's going to be pre-release events in my area.
Yeah. So overall, I thought it was very cool. And yeah, they gave us a tote bag. They gave us a starter kit, posters, right? They
Mhm.
definitely decked out and it wasn't just a VIP experience. That was everybody.
That
I
was
thought
everybody
That was
that-
really
yeah.
great. And just a really well hosted, fun panel.
Yeah.
They had a
Yeah,
game with
as I'm waiting in the front of the line, while everyone else was in line, all I'm seeing are these PAX employees with just lugging 15, 20 bags
Yeah.
each,
Mm-hmm.
handing them out to people in the
Yep.
line. And then since I wasn't in line, I didn't get one right away.
Yeah.
I was able to grab one from the top,
nice.
and that's probably why I got a different group than you
Yeah.
guys got.
Sure looking.
Worked out.
What else do you want to do? Talk about for Final Fantasy and Magic.
I'm gonna be spending lots of money apparently.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at how well they were able to merge the rule sets
Yeah.
of a Final Fantasy object to Magic.
Yeah.
Like Bart's and his bird. I forget what his name is. They made a big deal about it basically.
They're using the birds.
Yeah.
They-
So obviously
mechanic.
Chocobos is a big bird thing.
Mhm.
So Bart's and his bird will enhance other birds in your deck. So if you've already got a pre-existing bird deck, it would just slot right in and be at home.
Lots of transformation cards that were really super cool.
Yeah, I'm not used to using double-sided cards.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna would have to get used to it.
And that was the
if
interesting
I
part
actually
too.
start playing the game again.
One of the transformation cards was from the newer game, 16, right? So, and they had to.
Oh yeah.
That came out in the middle of development of this series, so they had to play it
because the dominants actually turn into the summon in game, so they incorporated that in the Magic game.
Yes.
So the summoner will turn into the summoner, the summoned for so many turns, and it flips back. And then if you can meet the requirements to summon again, flip it over, and you can repeat yourself. And a lot of the jokes was if your opponent lasts that long.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, if you can trigger its go, you've got the game won.
Right. There was a lot of that.
Yeah. Cool. So that was Magic, Final Fantasy, June 13th.
Yes.
Where do you want to go next? What do you want to chat about? I see you've got a DS open there, Mr. Timothy Off. Why do you have a DS open?
Well, because I've been collecting my puzzle pieces, Street Pass, all this weekend, and I finished the last of my puzzles. I've waited exactly how many years now to finish all the puzzles, and I finally finished it this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't. I had it. I brought mine on day one. I didn't bring it today, so I don't think I would have finished them all anyway. Because I still, I think I'm still missing like 450 to 500.
Do you feel like that has now brought you to a point where you can officially like close the 3DS?
I can probably retire it now. Yes,
retire it.
I can retire it now.
Yeah. That's great.
There's still all the mini games. I got a bunch of exclamation points on. But
I stopped playing most of the mini games. The only ones I really played was Find Me Too.
Yep.
And the puzzles.
I got Warrior's Way is got an achievement on that. Believe it or not, and then an achievement for the completing the puzzle swap.
Well, I think that was something that and totally forgot about, but the Street Pass scene was alive and well.
Yes, it was.
Right? Like you guys said, you both cleared off probably 30. I think you said
I think I cleared out like 30 or 40 from yesterday alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we're talking about a system that really hasn't been active for almost 7 years now.
Right, and you can only do 10 at a time.
Yeah.
People brought it.
Yeah, and I think that's such a uniquely Nintendo thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when we talked about like when the Switch 2 came out, people were like, Street Pass?
Yeah,
right.
Street Pass would be great.
The Wish Street Pass, yes.
Because it's such an interesting kind of communal event that I think Nintendo is missing in some of these ways. But that's really cool that you're able to finish that off here.
Yep, that was a whole weekend thing, so that was cool. But let's see, the next thing that we got to do was shoot. What did you guys do? Because I'm trying to remember what the heck I did after that.
Jesse, what'd you do?
All right, so
I took that from you. Thank you right back.
That's right. So I did swing by 2 booths in the morning before the Final Fantasy thing. The first one, I only caught my eye because they have this large visual board up outside, and one of just kind of showing things that someone paid money to advertise their game here. One was called Off the RPG, and I'm like, that looks weird. It sounds weird. I've never heard of it before, so I decided to check it out. I checked out their website or the trailer this morning at breakfast, and I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, there are so many different art styles going on at once. I don't know what's going on. So, and it's not a bad thing. It's just I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I decided I wanted to check out their booth. So I get there, and this is just some press kit information. I can download stuff when I get home. Basically, it's based. The original Off game is like a 20-year-old game made in RPG Maker 2003. So if you're the original game's out there, free to download if you have a computer old enough that can run that older version of RPG Maker. But it was made by 2 guys. I think they were in college at the time. One is an artist, which explains the weird art styles, and one is a musician, which means it'll probably have great music. I haven't really heard the music yet because I didn't get a chance to play the demo. But obviously, what's missing here? Developer. So who knows what happens when the actual gameplay starts? So they contracted out help to get it ported. It's coming out in Steam and Switch later this year. They were unable, whatever, to share anything more specific than it's coming out this year. So that is something I'm keeping an eye on. Then on my way trying to find their booth, I stumbled across another booth that not coming to Switch. It's called Pin City. It's a VR bowling game, and when you start the game, it looks like normal what you'd expect a VR bowling game to be. And in fact, I picked the heaviest ball and tried to throw it, and ended up hitting the ceiling with it. I'm like, okay, this ball is not heavy enough, or I am the Hulk.
Too strong.
I don't know what's going on. They probably need to tweak that a little. But I was able to, figure out. So it's not Wii bowling. It definitely requires a little more finesse than that. But after every frame, like the whole floor drops down and comes back up in a new configuration. So sometimes like the pins will be in a row that instead of all in the back. And the first time I hit like 3 pins or 6 pins, and the second time it was the first time I didn't gutter it, but I also didn't hit any pins. So I'm like, that's probably more skillful than hitting pins in the middle, unintentionally. And then sometimes there's like jumps, to jump over a fire pit, not get hit. There's a swinging hammer you have to avoid. There's spikes that come out on the sides that'll kill the ball. So, when you get to the 10th frame, it's like you bowl it, and then it goes up a ramp, and then around a corner, and it's now into a pachinko field.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, this is weird.
Bowling and pachinko.
Yeah. and so there's certain pins floating in the middle, and then I think there's a strike, a 5, a 10, and then something else in the fourth one. So it's possible to score more than 10 points without scoring a strike. I think I scored 17 points that frame. I don't know.
Wow.
So I don't know how they managed to score it at the end, but it's definitely a weird game. Don't know how much it's going to cost. I think they said there's a demo on Steam now, or at least you can be wishlist on Steam. It'll be on MetaQuest 2 and 3 soon, if it isn't already. I asked if it's coming on PlayStation VR 2. They said not right away. It probably depends on what the interest is, if they can profit on the meta version.
That makes sense.
And yeah, that's logical.
Yeah.
So that's I know there's like a mini golf game that's equally weird that's pretty popular. That's probably going to rank up there. But I had fun with it. That's something I would look into when it comes out.
Nice.
So that, and then the Final Fantasy thing. I pretty much spent after that. I just was relaxing, trying to not kill my legs. I was just say today was a lot easier with a set of Minifin in me, unlike yesterday. So I'm glad that today's over and tomorrow is just gonna be an early day travel.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, what did you get into?
So a couple appointments, and a couple along the way en route to the appointments are other things. First thing was after the Magic the Gathering, we went to a game called Fresh Tracks. It is it's a Beat Saber type game in a way, but also almost like that. You remember that Subway game on the phone? It was the running, the running game, where you kind of go from each track and trying to avoid. It's kind of that as well, but it has also a Nordic narrative story as well. But
it sounds like skiing.
There is skiing involved, but the tracks are going to be on skis to the beat. There's a little bit, he called it, I talked to the developer, he called it a little bit of rogue like or rogue light because it's like basically there's roguish elements to it that he took from he said it influenced by Hades, some of the things that were done there. And he talked about the different difficulty levels as well as different boards. So there's not only different difficulty levels you can choose off the bat, but you can also pick a run that's easy or kind of hard or hard type of thing as well, even if you picked a difficulty level. So you have opportunities to make it easier on yourself. Um, and it's coming out for the PS5, Steam, and Xbox. And the that was on the roadmap because they couldn't get it to go on the Switch. But now with Switch 2 coming out, they're once they get a development kit, then they're hoping to be able to transfer it over to there. So, and I told them, I said, if it comes over there,
Are they targeting PS5 only, or are they also
PS5,
targeting PS4?
just PS5.
Okay, I was saying if they can get it on a PS4, it'll run on Switch
Okay.
too.
Yeah, PS5 and Xbox Series X and S.
All right, so
So
it'll be a challenge to downgrade it a little bit.
maybe
They won't have it run.
it was running on Steam Deck. I was playing it on Steam Deck.
Okay, yeah, if it'll run on the Steam Deck, it should run on the Switch.
Yeah. So but it was a lot of fun and it had the other thing I was talking to him about how the music was composed because he was talking about music obviously because it's a rhythm game. They actually had a couple composers working on the game, so it wasn't like purchased songs. It was composed songs for this game. But what was interesting about it was depending on there's I guess a trophy or a tool. I forget what they called it, but it was something that you gain along your path to give you a god power. And depending on which god you picked up along the way would affect the music you're listening to.
Probably some more of the Hades influence.
Okay,
If it's
maybe.
if there's if there are multiple deities to choose from.
Yeah, it's like Nordic deities or something like that. So, but yeah, when you pick certain ones, you start off with kind of like the electronic music, but then there's another god that you pick up where that music changes to more heavy metal, but it still has that undertone of being the same song, but it just changes the type of song it is, the genre.
The instruments.
Yeah, and he said so. It was like it could change from electronic to heavy metal to a third one I don't remember, and then hip hop. So like just a wide range of
You got
stuff.
orchestral going on.
Oh yeah, orchestral. Actually, that was it. Orchestral. So
quite the range.
I was impressed by that, and I was impressed by the game. It was hard, even though I had it on medium uh, difficulty, and I was doing the easy track to start with. It was like, okay, but it was also there's a lot of noise. It was hard to focus on the song and try to stay within rhythm. But there was
games like that are hard to demo in public places.
yeah. I'm glad I wasn't on the main TV to show off anybody else either because it just like kept hitting things. But the Beat Saber part is you got a sword that you can knock down trees with that are in your way. And then you can do some leans to go to one side or the other. You get to jump or duck. So there's those type of running aspects, when you're playing those runners. But overall, my kids enjoyed it. They were playing it with me. The guy was very nice and set them up on one at the same time I was doing the Steam Deck. So they all got to experience it a little different too because Sam played on more of the PC or Steam or sorry Xbox controller setup. Sophie played with the PlayStation controller, and I played on the Steam Deck. So again, that was fresh tracks, and hopefully it'll come to the Switch because I think it would be a good one. Because he seemed very interested in trying to see if he could use some of the tools that Nintendo has on this new system with the mouse or even the waving the controller around or something. So for the sword, so that was cool. On our trip of walking around, actually this was the next one. Sammy tried out a game called Talon's Blade. Basically where you take control of Marcus on a soul rendering quest, or rending, quest for the revenge. Make deals with a demon, cast powerful spells. I was watching him play, and it was basically the developer said has a Souls like feel to it, and you're going through these dungeons, and you have to you're basically doing the commands that it shows on the screen by entering in, like, here's what the motion is of this enemy is going to do. So you either got to block or you have to hit. But again, it was very Dark Soulsy, like, type of game, and Sammy was all into it, and um, but it wasn't something I probably would pick up. But if you're a Souls type game, I would say, or Souls like gamer, you might want to check out Talon's Blade. I think that's out there on Steam as well. Not sure if it's coming to consoles or not, but that was one we checked out. Another one that was really beautiful looking when we walked by a couple times, it just kept catching my eye, is you might be able to pronounce it better. That's a
Bahamut.
Yeah, and that's a card in the
It's
Magic.
a Final Fantasy
It's a
summon
Final
as
Fantasy
well,
summon.
among other things.
But Bahamut, this group actually was developing this game that looked really beautiful on screen. It is an adventure game, skills game. I didn't get to play it, but they talked to me about it, and it was underwater, and I like those underwater adventure type games that, it's kind of, especially if the art is really cool. But it's Bahamut and the Whack Whack Tree. WAQ.
Whack Whack, yeah.
Whack Whack Tree?
WAQ.
Yeah. So,
okay, you do you, game.
This is inspired by Arabian mythologies, not anything else that may use also the Bahamut type god or whatever. So, another one that's out there on Steam right now. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. More than likely a demo. And then the last one I got to check out was Strings Theory, which is on the Switch, but also out now on the Switch and the Xbox, and soon to come to PlayStation. Basically, it is a 3-player co-op game, but you can also play it by yourself. It's one of those ones where, probably similar to the other 3-player games we've played before, like Zelda or or any of the other co-op ones, where you can switch between the different characters.
After dinner, while you were doing whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
we actually were kind of having a dig fest against Triforce Heroes.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty funny you bring that.
It is. Today. It is got that where you could play it by yourself, and you'd use the shoulder buttons to switch between which characters you're using. But the object was, it's a puzzle game. You're going through and you're trying to get the 3 characters into the vortex to leave that puzzle world after it's collected the determined amount of collectibles you need to have for that board. But it's not just a go find thing. You got to use characters that can move pieces of the board to be able to get you to the next phase of that board. And each of those characters could be able to knock down a wall that turns into a platform to walk across. Another character can go between dimensions, which is basically the upside and the downside, so you can flip upside down into the world, and it's isometric view, it looked like, too, this game. So, and then there was a third one we actually didn't get to see because they had a little bit of technical difficulty with trying to get Sophie something to play on, but it's I guess twins that can split up and do certain things together. So I'm not 100% sure what those do, but it was a very cool puzzle game that I know some puzzle people would probably like. I am going to try to do a first look on it. I actually downloaded it for my Switch, so nice. I'm going to do a first look for that. So lots I got in other than walking around and looking at all kinds of other stuff that kids were wanting to look at, which was a lot of fun too.
Nice. So awesome. I played 3 games today. It's Saturday here. The lineups were longer, right? And so some of them were appointment, which was great. One of them I waited in line. I went over to Retroware, which right when you come in the stairs, big booth there. And so they were showcasing 4 or 5 different games there. Toxic Crusaders, Neon Infinity, the Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest, Prison City, Iron Meat, and the Angry 8-Bit Nerd. And they are very much a company that works in sort of that nostalgia 16 to 8 or 8 to 16-bit games.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would say they look more like almost like 32-bit games. They're getting into that
Yep.
that Dreamcast era, PS. Well, PlayStation could have, I think it was a 32-bit console, but it's just Sony said don't make visual games. Make
100%.
quality games.
Yeah. So I ended up playing Toxic Crusaders, and of course this is built off the IP, the TV show in the 90s, and I think there's a movie actually coming out soon with Peter Dinklage in it actually. But the thing that I really stood out to this is that like all of these 4-player beat 'em up games just feel like reskins of TMNT.
Yeah.
Right? It is take popular IP, put it onto a 4-player opportunity, and so it was great. Like I was playing it, but I was like, this could have just been Ninja Turtles, and it was just fine. So if you have an affinity for Toxic Crusaders, then that would be great. But I was like, it played well.
You can't have to be our age to have that.
Yeah, like
no kid will anymore.
Yeah, it played well, but I was like, we'll just go play TMNT. Do you know what I mean? So nothing wrong with that.
Basically,
it's fan service, 100%. Yeah. The other game that I played from them was Neon Inferno. I think I called Neon Infinity before. Neon Inferno, and this is not of an IP that I'm aware of. I believe this is an original. Actually, it is original. I talked to the gentleman about it. This is set in like the future. There's a bit of a cyberpunk look to it. Again, probably that 16 to 32-bit commentary that you mentioned before. This was actually platforming, which I thought was fun. There was times we got on like a motorcycle, and you're having to drive back and forth and shoot other people on a motorcycle. There are people coming in the background. You have to turn and shoot and fire at them. So definitely inspired by some of those arcadey games of the 80s and 90s, but an absolute ton of fun. And I would say of the two, that is the one that when it comes out, I will likely pick up. I think they were saying that's coming out by the end of this year as well. Nice. So very cool. Good stuff from RetroAware. But the final game that I ended up playing today was not on my list from appointments. It was, I just walked on.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say I just walked on because I stood in line for about an hour. But it was actually off a recommendation either from Vic or from Hambone yesterday. And that was Gigasword.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure you don't hear that. Yeah, Gigasword. And so let me ask you this. Do you like Metroid?
Of course.
Do you like Zelda?
Of course.
Do you like DuckTales? Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Do you like Shovel Knight? Of course.
Of course.
Right? And what if you took some of those games and then like gave it some sensibilities of modern consoles like I can't remember ones he talked about. This was a game. Pardon my yawn. This was a game I sat for about 30 minutes and did a demo and loved every single moment of it. This is absolutely, to be honest, this is my game of show.
Okay.
It's a fantasy element. You are carrying this large sword with you. Kind of looks like the Buster sword, if I'm quite honest with you.
Yes.
And so that slows down like when you're hitting because it's very heavy.
Yeah.
It also means that if I have to jump somewhere, I can't jump as high because it's a heavy sword.
Yeah.
So there are times that I have to leave the sword, like plant it in the ground, and then complete another task, go get this thing, and then come back. The sword is also acts as like a key for things as well that you have to. Or it's a great example. Another great example was that like there's this block. Well, I have to move the block. So I have to insert my sword into the block and like move the block that way. Okay. So some really unique puzzle solving opportunities for it as well.
Yeah.
It absolutely feels at home on the Switch. It is currently demo out on Steam, which is the build they were having here at PAX East. I'd highly recommend you go try it out. But they are saying that by the end of this year, it should be out on all the major consoles, and they anticipate Switch as well. Gigasword is absolutely fantastic. To me, it's a no-brainer. If you are a person who grew up in that like 8-bit, 16-bit, all those games I talked about, those feel comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Again, this is designed and looks like, in some ways, those games, but for the 2025 sensibilities,
right.
For the graphical art style, for like how they properly use, foreground, background, all of that to create depth that is in an 8-bit world,
Okay.
or sorry, in a pixelated world, just fantastically. Like I was literally watching other people complete it, and I was like, just hurry up, just hurry up. I really want to play this game.
Yeah.
And then I was doing really well, and I died. And I hadn't finished the demo. The demo was like 40 minutes, he said. And I died. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to hit restart or retry. And I was like, oh no, it brought me back to like the very beginning. And I was like, I can't do that. That's just too mean. But the 20 to 25 minutes I played of it was just awesome.
Nice.
One guy developing is on Kickstarter already. Also, he got funding for Kickstarter. He's moved into doing it full time now,
Nice.
which is great. And he got picked up by a publisher. So now he's doing it
Okay.
full time for a full year. Great stuff. Fantastic guy to chat with.
Nice.
It's an absolute banger.
Nice.
And so it was great. So those were sort of our day 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah. We're wrapping up PAX. This is our last day. We're all heading out tomorrow, heading home. Any final thoughts on PAX East, your experience in general, what this meant to you, any of that?
Well, one thing we forgot.
Jesse.
One thing we forgot to mention when we did the Final Fantasy talk is every card art they showed the description and the sometimes the word salad and what sometimes it's just flavor text, sometimes it's what the ability. But there was one card they would not show us what it does. I think it was a Buster Sword.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so like, okay, what is this thing? Must be pretty amazing if they're not willing to share it with us yet. But other than that, I enjoyed my time here. I think I could have done a better job balancing the 2 days. I pretty much killed myself yesterday, so kind of took it easy today. But I this is probably I would do this again. I'm not sure if I'd want to jump right in and do it next year, but this I'm not opposed to doing this again.
Yeah. Yep. This is my first big one like this for sure. PAX East, probably the closest I'll get to an E3 type thing. It would have been cool if some of the bigger things were there, but I appreciate that I got to see a lot of people putting in a lot of hard work into this stuff. There's some things I wish could have been better for us, or at least laid out wise, to be able to just the crowds were crazy to kind of manage and get through to get to things, and it felt like you had to have appointments in order to be able to see something. Otherwise, you'd be standing in line waiting for stuff.
Yeah, I did feel like a jerk at sometimes when they'd be like, "Oh, you're media.
Yeah.
Do you have an appointment?" No, and they're like, "Okay, well, let me see if I can do something for you."
Yeah.
Right, and you're like, "Oh, now I'm jumping the queue."
Yeah.
Right, and so it kind of felt jerky, but at the same time, it was sort of like, well, that's kind of a perk as well, I guess.
And there was something that we didn't see here because there wasn't a Nintendo here. But if Nintendo was here, they would have their queue filled up in 15 minutes past gate open.
Yeah.
And like, this is the end of the line.
Yeah.
Person who got here at 10:05 will do their 5:55 demo and then go home. That's all they do all day.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Wait in the line.
Yeah.
So it's not a good place to demo a Nintendo product.
Yeah.
So,
but it sounded like you had a pretty good experience when Nintendo Live did their thing with PAX West.
Yeah, well, yeah, when Nintendo Live did their thing with PAX West, but I will again. I'm going to play that like I had my experience was uniquely different than other people's for sure because we were media.
True.
I there was a lineup of people to stand in front of this like Bowser Lego thing that was like running at you. They recorded, and the PR rep was walking us around, and she was went with my daughters, and she's like, "Oh, how's this all going? Well, it's great." And she's like, "Have you guys had a chance to do this?" I said, "No, not yet, but like it looks great. We're gonna excited to do it." And she's like, "Well, let's just do it right now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" And like so, like she put us like right in front of everyone. I was like, "Oh, I feel like such a jerk because these people were waiting in line." But you're right. Like in
that's why we always say, "But we're the Nintendo dad."
Right? Yeah.
My point is, even at the big Nintendo events like that, you need an appointment to actually get some good quality time.
And that's what I was trying to get at too. Is like it helped to be able to things that stuck out to us that we had time to do without killing ourselves. the appointments helped. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if it was just you just kind of going without those appointments, I think that you just
Yeah.
There's a reason we get 1,500 emails in 2 months
Yeah.
ahead of the event saying, make an appointment with us, make an appointment with us.
Yep.
It's almost like too that if you were going to do everything at the show, you need all 4 days.
Yeah.
And especially have a plan. Like, okay, we're gonna look at all the shop type things this day, or split it up. Do appointments and then shops or whatever. So it's crazy.
Yeah. 100%. And I actually think it's interesting because like the three of us going, were able to actually do more legwork, right? Because it was 3 different appointments. The 3 like
we can
fact,
split the load with
100%.
3 different types
Yeah.
of things we like to do.
Yeah. So more exposure, more opportunity as well. So that's great. Yeah, I thought it was great. It was wonderful. We had to meet up with Johnny and Vic yesterday. Spend some time with them, have dinner with them. That was fantastic. You guys got to bring your kids, right? I think that was a really fantastic experience. And I know I've taken my daughters to like PAX West and Nintendo Live, and those are just really great, kind of special, I think, moments. And so I was just kind of like, what was that like for you guys?
Yeah. I didn't do a lot of stuff with my kids. They kind of did their own thing. I did my own thing. We decided, to meet up so we can then do this, follow you to dinner because I wouldn't know where to go. So that was, but sounded like they enjoyed themselves. They had fun doing their own thing. They actually, some of their friends drove down from Buffalo, and they were able to hang out last night after the show. So I think everyone had fun.
Good.
My kids were just having a ball, it seems like. So they were having a blast, and they all kind of have their own room, it seems like. So they're living the life apparently. So especially when they get to go to the pool at this time, that's probably what they're doing right now before it closes. But going to the show and stuff overall was, I think, from what it seemed like, they were having a good time. So
yeah. Okay.
Good experience for him. And I think Sammy wants to be a Nintendo dad. So
there you go.
But yeah, I told him you got a few years though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been great. Like, Sam was just the entire time was like just such a great kid, asking questions, and you just see how much fun he was having, and that was freaking awesome. And so it was good. Folks, thank you for helping support our mad crazy ideas. For helping support us through whether it's patreon.com/NintendoDads, whether it's Twitch, whatever that is, that allows for us to create content like this. Hopefully you've enjoyed I know Tim was putting out stories today. I put out a couple stories as well, shorts. Thank you. Thank you for just like supporting us, listening to these bonus episodes, watching these videos, retweeting, all those things. It allows for us to have these opportunities to create more content and give more back to you as well. And so just an amazing experience that we get to hang out together. Again, this podcast has been going for 10 years. This is the second time all of us have kind of been, minus Marty, have tried to be together. And so just an amazing experience. So thank you on behalf of all of us for allowing us to do this.
Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but like my feet are on fire. Yeah. I walked 30 kilometers in the last 3 days. My feet are on fire.
I didn't intend to having this another 45-minute episode.
No, and it's 45 minutes. Here we are. Yeah. And you've got a 3 a.m. flight or a 6 a.m. flight. So, folks, thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. Hit the stop button. You do. Hit the stop button.
Was it right
here? Yeah. No.
No,
stop. No.
No, this one.
Yeah, stop. No, let's stop. No.